What's up, YouTube? Negroni back on a boat this time. Me and my family are on a cruise. I've got my travel companion with me. You know, this watch has me pondering something. What is the best modern steel sports Rolex that you can buy today? Or can't buy? Let's talk about this. Now, over the past month, I've really been wearing my Pepsi most days. I'm really finding that it's my favorite watch to wear. It's the watch I choose for weekend getaways, vacations, pretty much anything around water. So this cruise was perfect. Take the Pepsi. Let me tell you something. The magic is really starting to set in with this watch. I'll find myself getting to my destination, hotel, and take the watch off. I'll put it on the nightstand and just smile, because it's like my little buddy, It's recording all of my adventures as I go, and every time I look at it, it just gives me a little slice of happiness. It's a reminder of all the adventures and all the memories that I've made with it. So let's do this. I'm gonna give you 4 reasons why the Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi on Jubilee is the best modern steel sports Rolex to me. Reason number 1, the case proportions. The Rolex GMT Master 2 is 40 millimeters. However, not all 40 millimeters is the same. So let's take the Rolex Daytona 40 millimeters and compare it to the previous generation 40 millimeter Submariner. The Daytona wears much smaller than its 40 millimeter size, and that previous maxi case Submariner, the one that I own, wears much bigger than 40 millimeters due to its very contentious maxi lugs. I find that lugs and bezels, or lack of bezels, can contribute to a watch either looking bigger or smaller or squared off, or the proportions. 40 millimeters isn't always 40 millimeters. Now, the 40 millimeters on this Pepsi is technically a maxi case. However, over the years, they've ever so slightly been able to taper the lugs. Maybe not as much as the 41 Submariner, but ever so slightly, just enough to where when you have it on the wrist, you no longer see square. You don't think square like you did when you sometimes wore the previous generation 40 millimeters Submariners. But the real reason why this watch with its maxi lugs wears a lot nicer than the Submariner is because of its thinness. Many people might not know this, but the Rolex GMT actually features a smaller caseback than the Submariner, and I think that is why generally they give it a different water resistance rating, because technically they both feature triplock crowns. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Rolex underrate all of the watches that come out of their factory with 100 meters of water resistance, but we'll save that for another day. Those 2 distinctions are what make the case of the GMT Master 2 proportionally perfect. It's still that sporty oyster case that everybody wants, not as chunky as the Sea Dwellers or the Submariners, but also not as dressy and curved as the Daytonas and the Yachtmasters. Reason number 2, the Rolex GMT Master on Jubilee is the most versatile Rolex. Now, because this watch wears so thin and trim and paired with the Jubilee bracelet, you end up having a fairly reasonable dress watch. Not a dress watch, but a dressy watch. Nobody's gonna scoff at a Rolex on a Jubilee in a suit or a dressier shirt. Now, whenever I walk by and I catch a glimpse of the Jubilee bracelet in a mirror or something reflective, I can't help but be captivated by the way it dazzles and kind of dances in the light. It kind of has that presidential look, or I wish it did. I wish it was a president bracelet, but it's not. But it gives you the feel, It gives you that feel that you have a president bracelet. The way it kind of dances in the light. Like I said, the polished and brushed surfaces on this bracelet have this dancing effect. It really can make anyone wearing this watch feel ever so slightly elevated. Now, equally, because this watch features the combination of an inky black dial with that blue and red bezel, you have a very casual watch when you need it to be. From the cabana into the pool to dinner and nightcap. That is versatility at its finest. Guess what I'm drinking? Okay, reason number 3 is why I specifically chose the Pepsi version of the GMT. Now, there are many variations of the GMT Master 2. It has seen many changes over the decades, but from 10 feet away, more or less, this GMT resembles the first GMT. There's no mistaking the iconic blue and red bezel. That's Pan Am blue and red. I don't need to share the history with you guys because by now you found my video, so you've already seen all the better videos. So reason number 3, the rich history. It's a historic watch. I really haven't heard anyone talk about this, but the use of ceramic in the bezels in the modern GMTs feels like a great modern interpretation of the old bakelite bezels. Who the fuck knows? Bakelite bezels. It's use of different materials because back in the day, the bakelite bezel was very. It was a fragile material. It was beautiful, but it was fragile, and it's not really something you want in your tool watches. So you look at the modern versions using ceramic bezels, equally beautiful, not the same, but arguably also very fragile. There's been instances of ceramic bezels cracking. Kind of feels like a great modern interpretation of the first bakelite bezels. Ceramic. I don't know. It gives it an equally beautiful look with a different material than the standard aluminum bezels that was used in the GMT for many years. I mean, even with the bezels on these things, they have to do it in Rolex fashion, right? The ceramic in these bezels, they're not poured, blue and then red, separate. That wouldn't be good enough for Rolex. It wouldn't have a seamless transition. So instead, they pour one of the colors, I believe it's red on this one, and then the blue over that. So that's why if you take a UV light to this watch, it'll look like a completely red ceramic bezel. So, fun little fact. That blue-red, that Pan Am, that iconic Rolex GMT that everybody wants, done in a modern, masterful, beautiful way. Now, the last reason why the GMT Master 2 is the best modern Rolex steel sports is due to their movement. Rolex movements are known for their precision and robustness. They don't really go out of their way to invent or innovate movement technologies. Rather, they improve their movements and their watches incrementally as a whole. And by doing so, they remain a robust and reliable tool watch, even to this day. I mean, that's what Rolex is famous for, right? Beautiful, robust tool watches with the history and the stories behind them. I mean, marketing geniuses. You know how I'm getting old? I actually enjoy this little, sunglass keeper here. And I used to think when I was younger, the people who wore these were freaking dorks. But now, I enjoy it. I'm a dork. I won't lose my sunglasses now. I'm getting old. I'm getting old, guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. Rolex has very interesting movements. They've got the Sky Dweller with the annual calendar. Rolex's most complicated movement. They've got the Yachtmaster 2 and its regatta timer. Pretty interesting. Pretty useless, but interesting. But the magic is really in their tool watches and the movements inside of them. Negroni, you got it? Thank you. Cheers. Pounding these things today. The subs have always featured a robust, reliable, highly anti-magnetic movement in a highly water-resistant case. But personally, for me, the usability and the simplicity of the GMT complication really make owning and wearing that watch that much better. A lot of times brands overcomplicate complications, but Rolex managed to take a complication and make it not so complicated, if that makes sense. This is a tool watch from its inception, and it remains that way. It's a true traveler's companion with the ability to track up to 3 time zones. The way in which you jump the local hour hand is user-friendly, very easy to read. This is a watch with a precise and robust complication that can be dressed up or down, but most importantly, at its heart, it will always be a traveler's tool watch. There you have it, guys. The Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi, the best modern steel sports watch that you can't buy. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hopefully the sound's not too terrible. I don't know. I'm on a cruise. It's always loud. Thank you all for watching. You guys are the best. Cheers.